Hey guys, welcome to the shop. Today I'm going to do a demonstration on how I cut my end rails for a bar top. I got a bar build that I have to do this week, and I need to make the top rail. Some people call them the armrest. So it basically looks like this. Now it's very intimidating to make these, but it's actually not that hard. You can print a template off of Google to make one of these and just trace it on there and just cut to those lines, but I'm going to show you how I do it. It's not that hard, so we'll get started and we'll go from there. Okay, so the first step I'm going to do is I need to cut 22 lineal feet. So the first step I'm going to do is cut my width, and I'm going to take this 2x6 and it's knotty pine, and I'm going to cut it down to 5 inches. Okay, so the next step is to cut the 2x6 into a cove. So to do that, you have to have your saw set up in the right position, and I will show you how to do that. You do have to be careful on how you set your saw up, make sure everything's clamped down properly. It is dangerous to cut that cove, so you're at your own risk if you're going to attempt to do it. We will get started on setting up the saw, and then we'll make the cut. Okay, the first step is to unplug the saw, remove your fence, remove your throat plate, now this needs to be removed. This is what makes it dangerous, because this is what prevents kickback, but you have to remove this to cut that board sideways. So be very careful when you take this out and you're making your cut. Get this cleaned up. So the next step you want to do is you want to set the height of your blade, which I'm going to go 1/2 inch. Lock that in place. Then you want to take a piece of masking tape, and we need to set the tape on each end of the blade to where the blade just kisses the tape. Then you want to mark where the blade is. Now what you want to do is you want to mark 1/2 inch. This is a piece of scrap 2x6 that's cut at 5 inches. And I'm just using this so I can set the angles. So I'm going to mark 1/2 inch, draw a line across. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna measure, or what I measure, is 1.25 inches from this end and mark a line, 1.25 inches from this side and mark a line. So basically this is going to be coved out. So now I'm going to set some scrap pieces. I'm going to lower the blade all the way down. And we do have a mark here and we have a mark here. So I'm going to start off by taking some scrap pieces, and this will be clamped down. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to, by cutting this cove out, I'm going to run the board sideways onto the blade. So I'm going to take this mark here and line it up to this mark on the tape. I'll slide this board up, and then I'm going to slide this board all the way up until this line on this side of this board lines up with this line on the piece of tape. So I will bring it up. It's telling me that I got to turn this board a little bit more this way. Before I clamp this other end, I'm just going to double check to make sure my lines line up. And they do. Okay, now that I have this side clamped down, I'm going to take another piece and clamp it on this side, and I want this to just ride nicely all the way across. So we'll start here. Okay, so I had to run a board this way to, I guess this was, has got a bow in it. So to get this, I don't know if you can see that. There basically was a bow in here, so I ran a board this way and clamped it down just to push it in a little bit so I can get an even. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to raise up your blade 1/16 of an inch. You make your pass, you raise another 1/16 of an inch, make your pass again, and you do that to all your boards. If you try to hog out a lot more than 1/16 of an inch, you're basically going to burn the board, and it's not going to cut into the wood nicely. So I just 1/16 of an inch each time, each pass, and you're pretty much good to go. Now that I made my passes, you ended up with this. Basically your cove. So now the next step, this is the top. This is going to be the bottom. We need to cut our angles in here. And I will show you how to do that. These are cut at 20-degree angle, and they're both at a 20-degree angle. So we're going to measure 3/4 of an inch down from the top down, and from the bottom up 3/4 of an inch. And now we're going to set up the saw and run it through the saw. Now that we got that cut, we're going to cut this piece. And this is also at 20-degree angle. All you're going to do is just tilt this like this and run it through the saw. And you'll get that cut there as well. So these are both at 20. And this is the top of the rail. Okay, now that I cut this part off, the front, now I'm going to cut this part, which is the back part of the end rail. I measured from this corner to here 3 inches, and I just drew a line from here to there. From the bottom up, this is at a 3/4 inch cut, and it's beveled at 20 degrees. From the top down to 3 inches, I just drew a line. Now to cut that, I'm going to use a router, and I'm just going to make a bunch of passes with the router and hog that out. As using the table saw, I can't cut that on an angle. It's not going to get that whole thing, so I find it easier just to use a router and chop that out. And we'll do that now. Okay, now that we have the back cut out, we are now going to round off the edges on the router table. And I'm going to make 2 passes on the back side, so I can get this side and this side, and then 1 on the front, and then it's ready for sanding. So this is the bar top. The arm rail comes up. Of course, you're going to miter it when it comes around the corners. And then you just drive your screws from underneath to secure it in place. You can glue it and drive your screws or pin it in place, whatever works best for you. Now that this is all sanded, it's pretty much good, ready for stain and varithane. And this is what it looks like when it's all done. So it's a little bit intimidating when you kind of look at it, but it's not that hard. The best way is to practice on a small piece of scrap, and just keep trying it until you get it right. It's not that hard. Once you get it right the first time, then it'll be a cakewalk every time you do it. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment below, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.